Surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Okay, has everybody got it? Okay, we're going to wait for those bells to quit. And Luke, you're going to play out louder and with more conviction. Okay, is it done? I knew something was happening in a different key. I just was trying to figure out what it was. All right, here we go with the intro. All right, everybody, here we go. And surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Let's sing that again. Ready? And surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Hear these words. Therefore you shall draw water with rejoicing from the springs of salvation, and on that day you will say, give thanks to the Lord and call upon his name. Here we go. Surely and surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Make his deeds known among the peoples. See that they remember that his name is exalted. Sing the praises of the Lord, for he has done great things, and this is known in all the world. Surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold, my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Cry out, inhabitants of Zion, ring out your joy, for the great one in the midst of you is the Holy One of Israel. Surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Last time, here we go. Surely it is God who saves me. I will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is my stronghold and my sure defense, and he will be my Savior. Beautiful. Beautiful, Julian. Thank you, Luke. Today is the first day of the rest of your lives. Don't you love the cliche? It's evidently true, and yet it says absolutely nothing. Today is also the last day of your life up to this point, although that wouldn't go over as well at a motivational speaking conference. The focus is not really on today, but our attitude about today. You can have a bad attitude. Remember Ralph Cramden? One of these days, Alice, one of these days. You know, he didn't really expect that day to happen, but he was always saying it. We're at a point of one of those days. Surely it is God who saves us. We will trust in him and not be afraid. For the Lord is our stronghold and sure defense, and he will be our Savior. There's been a lot going on these last several weeks, and I think I need to just spend some time letting you know what's happening. Notice Michael's not here this morning. The Commission's vision has always been to start a new church. And our vision has always been to revitalize a church. And the two visions just weren't meshing. So we are wishing Michael well. He is going off and he's going to continue to start a new church. Jamie is going to go with him, and Catherine, who was sitting there a minute ago, I know it. But we are excited for you, and we are happy that you were here this morning to play for us one more time. It was beautiful. But things are going to be changing around here. This is going to be a very short talk. I want to talk a little bit about vision moving forward. Put this stuff on the website this week, but you can go on and read it. But the idea for me of vision is Jesus' parable when the person comes to him and he says, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus turns tables on him and Jesus says, what does the law say? And the scribe says, well, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said, that's correct. If you do this, you'll live. But the guy didn't want to leave Jesus, let him get off that easy. He said, so who's my neighbor? And so Jesus tells a story. Anybody remember what the story was? Story of the Good Samaritan. Man gets robbed. He's beaten. He's laying on the side of the road, half dead. You know, if you don't stop and look, you may think he is dead. And a priest, religious leader, comes riding down the road on his donkey, looks over, sees the guy, knows that if he goes over and touches him, he'd be unclean, so he wouldn't be able to do his priestly duties, so he just keeps right on a riding. A little bit later, a Levite does the same thing, riding on his donkey, just heading on down. Levite is one of the people who help lead in the temple, but isn't a priest. They're the court musicians, so to speak. Just keeps right on a riding. Finally, a Samaritan rides by. Samaritans are unclean. Samaritans are unworthy of talking to. Samaritans are the lowest of the low in society. They're not Gentiles, because they're distant cousins of the Jews, but nobody wants to talk about them. They're like the side of the family you don't tell anybody about. So this Samaritan goes riding down the road, sees the guy, gets off, goes over, bandages him up, puts him on his own beast, walks him to an inn, pays to have him taken care of, gives extra money so that he could be taken care of, and said, I've got to go, but I will be back in a week, and if there's more, I'll take care of it then. Jesus tells this whole story, and then he turns it back around on this religious leader, and he says, who was the neighbor? Now, as a religious leader, he did not want to have to say the Samaritan. He did not. But he had to admit that he was the only one who took compassion. Our vision as a congregation has to be one of getting off our donkey. Reggie McNeil wrote a book called Get Off Your Donkey. He's somebody that I really enjoyed. He said he really wanted to use the King James Version. His editors wouldn't let him. Our vision moving forward has to be one of getting off our donkey and helping others. The way that we are going to serve our God, the way we're going to love our God, is by living our faith. We talked a lot about restoring the love, and I think this really is how we restore the love in this community. One of the things that Reggie McNeil says, you can't end world hunger, but you can feed somebody right around your neighborhood. We can't get everybody in the United States a way to get to and from work, but we can take care of it here in Oklahoma City. Our mission, our vision, our faith is moving forward with Christ. The old thing that the kids used to talk about, what would Jesus do when I was teaching? They all had these little bracelets, WWJD. Well, that's an important question. If we are going to be disciples of Christ, if we are going to be followers of Jesus Christ, then we got to get off our donkey and do something. This is a short sermon. If you have other questions about Michael leaving and things, you can come and talk to Steve and I. We'd love to talk to you. But we really, really hope that Michael does really well moving forward. Just as I hope that we can continue to live out our faith, that we can find new and creative ways to serve our God. We've got an elementary school that sits in our shadow that could use the help. I've been going over every Wednesday morning. I am teaching fifth graders how to list all the presidents from George Washington to Barack Obama in order. We're 23 in, I think, 22 or 23. And those kids are just right on top of it. You know, the old thing, when you used to teach vocal music, you have these songs you can use to teach anything. But there are kids over there starving for attention. I walk in that room and I have little boys come up and hug me because they don't have a male role model in their life. We, as a congregation, can make a difference in this world. We're going to start right here on our street. We're going to start right here in our city. And we are going to continue out into the ends of the earth. Today is the first day of our congregation's life. We're going to move forward. We're going to share God's love. We will trust in God and not be afraid, for He is our Savior. Amen.